But let's go, Danilo. Where do you see your career going, man? What are you thinking of doing?
Right now, I'm in the process of spending more time here in Rio, of coming back here, of staying longer. I don't want to leave LA entirely either. I still have some work there with Ressus, with Noel Charles, another artist I play with there.
You're going to Rio de Janeiro, right?
Yeah, I'm going there now. But I also want to spend more time here in Brazil, here in Rio. And that's it. Keep playing, learning, studying a lot.
Does your father study all day too?
No, not like him.
I don't know anyone who is like him.
He truly lives for music.
But you know what's funny? At one time when I went to Holland, it was the opposite. I hardly ever picked up the instrument. I lived for a year and a half with a couple of friends who invited me to live with them. Finally, thanks to them, I went there, right? With Henrique, my actress. Henrique is a very good Uruguayan drummer. And he would say to me, man, how can you play like that? I never see you study. When do you study? I really didn't study. What happens is in Uruguay, when I was a kid, did you study a lot? A lot. But think of a lot, like almost to the point of bleeding my fingers, man. It was something it's an obsession. And then when I got to the Netherlands, I played every day. I had to go. So I played a lot, but I wasn't sitting with the guitar studying like crazy, right? I remember he would say, man, I can't believe it. And he was with the little rubber band all day, right?
I see. So you have phases in your life. You're in a very productive study phase.
Yeah, but for many years.
For many years, okay.
Because that was the beginning in the Netherlands, right? But also because I was younger, I had a different kind of social life, which I don't have nowadays. You're 22 years old, you go live in Amsterdam. I don't need to explain much, right? Handsome, right? Young. He was much busier. No, but like, it's all good. It's another phase of life.
Yes. Then you went there. Handsome, got married.
There you go. The result.
Let's go, folks. We're heading towards the end here. Leo, I'd like to start with you. If you could send a message to the people who nowadays want to have a life as a professional guitarist, man, what would you say to the guys out there?
I would tell them to come to your school. No. But seriously, because your school is amazing. Thank you. No, but it's hard to give advice, right? Because everyone's life is different, right? The reality?
But maybe even about, not just about learning music, but also about the matter of human relationships.
Yeah, man, you have to. But even that changes as we age, right? But being a cordial and pleasant person with others and having compassion for others, understanding that sometimes a person is not having a good day, and trying to understand these things, I think it helps a lot to be a person who is not toxic in the environment. I think I have been toxic at some stages of my life. I really see that nowadays. But, you know, it's okay.
And was there any reason you think you were like that?
I've always been very temperamental and, you know, with a very short fuse. Now I'm older, I'm more relaxed. I'm tired, you know, man. I'm tired of fighting. So I think it's not worth it. I think it has to be, the environment has to be good, right, man? There has to be good vibes in the environment. If there are more than 2 or 3 people in the same environment playing together, of course, it's never 100% right. There's always someone who, but I think human relationships are very important. And you give that, right, man? And believe in that and follow your heart, right?
Have you ever regretted being a musician?
No. If I were born again, I would want to be born the same way. Maybe here in Brazil, right? Then I wouldn't need to come take that whole detour. Or maybe in Spain. I always say if I were born again and could choose, I would want to be a gypsy and play flamenco. I would want to be one of those crazy long-haired guys there who play incredibly well. I identify a lot with them in some way. Maybe I was a gypsy in some other life, if that exists, right? But I think believing in what you do and putting your heart into it, right, man? Wanting it a lot.
And wanting it a lot is always important.
I think that's the way you have to study. You have to stay with the instrument, right? If you really want to play well, Now, what is playing well? That's relative too, right? But if you want to have intimacy with the instrument, only the hours will determine that. There's no miracle, there's no shortcut, right? Those courses you see, like study with me for a week and you'll play like Scott Henderson. I'm sorry to inform you that this doesn't exist. That's a good excuse to sell the course. But it's not true. It's years, it's months, years, hours. There are also good examples that are important, good inspirations.
I see that this is very important.
You also have to be lucky if that exists. But there are people in our lives, people who are always. You had yours, right? Camilo, Pascual. I had mine who helped me, who gave me a hand and, hey, stop here, man. Hey, don't do this, do it like this. Right? So, that's important too, right?
And you, Lemmy, what message would you give to the people who want to make a living from music? As an instrumentalist, right?
I think it's important to always be around people who share the same dream or ambition and to hold on to good examples from good people with good character and good professionals, and to live the process intensely because there's no way around it. Study, practice.
I listened to a lot of music, more than I played. At least for me, I definitely listened to much more music in my life than I played. But I think I also, and I've played a lot, right? But I listen to a lot of music. I listen a lot too. There are songs when I listen to them, I understand this too, respect, right? But I listen all day. I'm listening to music, man. Almost. Sometimes I even get a bit bored because I go back to the same albums, right? Schofield, for example, this one here can't take it anymore, Schofield. When he's with me in LA, I say, oh, Dad. Until yesterday, I used to say I wasn't a fan of his.
I can't say that because I know all his albums.
I'm a fan too. Yeah, but I'm a huge fan of Schofield. Yeah, I listen to a lot of music. But there are musicians who have a more composer-like fiber and who listen to less music because they are always composing, they are making music. I compose too, but I'm not a compulsive composer.
The guy who lives off composing, right?
Or they have it naturally, right? I like to compose. I have songs that I've composed anyway. But I don't compose every day. Sometimes I go a long time without composing anything. Right.
Only when there's an instrumental project or you're recording an album.
Yeah, or record an album. Sometimes that effort, that pushing yourself is worth it, right? Just like the classical guys in the past, they composed on commission, right, man? Man, all those people were tough. It was for the queen, for the church. Under pressure, the guy had to create a piece, those incredible pieces, right? But it was commissioned. Suddenly, the guy didn't even want to compose that. Isn't crazy?
And in doing so, he keeps getting better and better, right? If I'm not mistaken, Mozart had 600 compositions, something like that. It's impressive.
I think he was one of the most prolific. If I'm not mistaken, I don't know much either. I don't have much classical knowledge, but he was one of the most prolific composers.
Yeah, but then people say, well, Mozart had the talent for composition. Okay, but he composed 700 pieces, meaning there are 30 great pieces. But why are there 700? Also, in practice, yeah, because in his time there were other great composers who were even considered as good or sometimes better than him at the time.
But they didn't work as much.
They didn't work as much,
Yeah, practices. That's an important detail for young people too, right? That you really become what you practice the most.
You get good at what you do a lot.
Exactly.
If you spend a lot of time on Instagram, you get good at Instagram,
And another thing, the matter of improvisation. Sometimes you guys ask me, right? I see a lot of people talking about improvisation, as you said. The fact of playing licks and not playing licks, the prepared lines. Look, in my opinion, humble opinion, we never play something we've never played before.
It's how you pair it in different ways.
It might be that at some point, something comes out, even by mistake, and it turns out to be something beautiful. It happened to me many times while recording. Suddenly it wasn't what I wanted to play. But I already had something I was preparing there, and suddenly it didn't come out, and something else came out, and it turned out great. And then it becomes spontaneous. But you have to practice the licks. You have to, the paths, to have them available. I did this a lot, for many years. Yes, the famous 2-5-1. I studied that a lot, man. It applies here, there, down, up, to the right, to the left, as much as I can. And this information stays in your system,
It becomes available.
I listen a lot, right? People say, hey, how is this thing about?
Yes. It's not that. It's because sometimes people think that you're going to play. And everything will be memorized in the sense that now lick 1, lick 2.
No, because there are people who actually play like that, right? I even played like that when I was young.
But what you're saying is, you study those paths so much that they are available for you to access.
Exactly.
And then they come out naturally. You don't need to make an effort, right?
They're like colors.
It's just like we're having a conversation here now, Pote. All the words we're saying now, we've said before.
We've heard them, exactly.
But we're pairing them differently here in the conversation.
And there's the conversation with you, with Danilo, playing together. We're playing together. Are you going to suggest things? And you'll make me play things I wouldn't play if I weren't with you. I wouldn't say everything. I said here if I were talking, so to you. So there's this important interaction too, right? Because nowadays, many musicians are playing alone at home. That's what happens most these days.
And they lose a part of the music.
And there's no conversation, right? Talking to themselves.
They don't learn to interact, right?
I don't even think it's bad. I'm not criticizing, okay?
No, but they lose a part.
But gosh, you have to play with other musicians as much as possible, right? Yes. And continuing to make videos alone is great. I also watch, enjoy, and do it, But nowadays there's this Instagram culture of just doing that. And there are some guys who play incredibly, right, man? But, I think playing with other people is fundamental. I agree.